The first thing the woman does after being reborn is stop her family from opening the door because a cold-blooded killer is lurking outside. In her past life, she was tricked by a recording of a pregnant woman's cries and opened the door, which led to the tragic deaths of her whole family. This time, she made up her mind to protect herself and her family at all costs. So when the killer tried to use the same trick again, she immediately told her parents the truth and warned them not to make a sound so her sick grandmother wouldn't hear anything unusual from downstairs. Then she nervously called her husband, but he thought she was joking, saying that the guest house was safe, and there was no way a killer could be there. She couldn't explain any better, and things got worse when her grandmother woke up, thinking her son-in-law had returned, and walked straight to the front door. The woman rushed to stop her grandmother, shouting that the door must not be opened. Her kind grandmother and mother heard the pregnant woman's cries outside, and thought they couldn't just ignore it. As the grandmother was about to open the door, the woman shouted the truth. The person knocking was a murderer holding an axe, and if they opened the door, they would all be killed cruelly. To prove her point, the woman called the police. The operator told her to lock the doors and windows, and not to open the door until the police arrived. Even so, her mother was still unsure. What if it was really a pregnant woman? That would mean 2 lives. So the woman decided to test through the door. She asked the pregnant woman outside how many months along she was, but all she got was the same recorded cry for help. Finally, her family realized the killer was indeed outside. Seeing the door wouldn't open, the killer started smashing it with the axe. The loud noise scared the grandmother into a heart attack, but her heart medicine was already used up. Her mother said the delivery had been placed, and it should be arriving soon, when suddenly she got a call from the delivery person, saying no one was answering the door after knocking for a while. The woman was shocked. She quickly warned the delivery person about the killer outside, but the delivery person said he was right at the guest house front door, and thought she was joking. He impatiently left the food at the door. Meanwhile, the door had already been cracked open, and the killer's face appeared through the hole. The delivery person just left the food and walked away. Just then, the woman's husband arrived in a taxi, and his eyes flashed with panic when he saw the delivery person. The woman suddenly had a bold guess. She called the guest house owner for help. A person who answered the phone claimed to be the manager. She anxiously explained the situation, and mentioned the delivery person had gone to another guest house. The manager insisted there was only one guest house here, and the delivery person must have made a mistake. She begged for help, crying that her grandmother was about to die. The manager promised to bring medicine, which gave the family a glimmer of hope. But as soon as she hung up the phone, the manager showed her true face. She sneered at the woman, calling her stupid, and the one who welcomed her was the woman's husband. It turned out this whole thing was planned by the husband. The manager was his accomplice. The killer outside was his brother. They planned to eliminate the whole family before the police arrived. The manager confidently said she would handle the police, while the husband watched the family struggle through the surveillance, coldly bidding his wife farewell. Meanwhile, the police had already arrived at the guest house, and were greeted by the manager, who was an accomplice. She asked the police what they were here for. When she heard they were responding to a call about a killer breaking the door, she immediately said the security was excellent, and there was no way anything like that could happen. She lied that she had just checked the surveillance, and everything was normal, implying that it was a false alarm. The police insisted on checking. The manager reluctantly opened the door. Sure enough, the room was empty. The door was intact. The police found nothing, and were about to leave. Meanwhile, the killer reached his hand through the door. The woman quickly pulled off his mask, and was shocked to see it was the guest house owner. She immediately told the police, but they dismissed her as delusional, because the so-called owner-manager was standing right next to her. The police lost patience, thinking it was all just a prank. At that moment, the delivery person rushed over, frantically saying he saw the killer next door, smashing the door with an axe. The police immediately realized the truth, and ordered the delivery person to lead the way, racing to the next house. At this point, the woman's family had already been pushed to the brink.